Hello, beautiful Libra. Have you ever felt like life was quietly preparing you for a breakthrough, but you just didn't know when or how it would arrive? Well, I'm here to tell you, this is it. This video was made for a reason, and if it's found its way to you now, it's because a storm of unstoppable luck is building, and it has your name written all over it. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot. My name is, your name, and this is your in-depth horoscope reading for April 29th to April 30th. In the next few minutes, we'll explore not just your astrological transits, but also the deeper messages the universe, the cards, and your own soul are trying to reveal. This isn't just another prediction. It's an activation. Libra, as the sign of balance, you've spent much of your life navigating extremes, giving more than you received, choosing peace even when it hurt. But now, the scales are tilting in your favor. You are entering a rare window of divine alignment, where blessings that were delayed will begin to flow. You are not here by accident. You're here because your spirit chose this moment to awaken. There is a storm gathering, but not one of chaos. It's a storm of divine favor, cosmic realignment, and long overdue breakthroughs. If you've been waiting for a sign, Libra, this is it. So I invite you now to take a deep breath. Exhale the weight you've been carrying. And then, if you feel called, drop your favorite angel number in the comments below. This isn't just for fun, it's a way to open a sacred channel between your intention and the energy of this reading. Before we dive into the cards and celestial alignments, allow me to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every subscription you offer helps grow our Zodiac Whisper family and keeps these soul-guided messages alive. Thank you for being part of this sacred space. Truly, your energy is what powers this channel. And I believe, with all my heart, that what you'll hear in today's reading is something you were meant to receive. So stay with me, Libra. Because what's coming next could shift everything. And when the universe speaks, it whispers through storms. Let's listen together. There's something powerful that begins to unfold when you start paying attention to how you handle your resources, not just money, but time, energy, and attention. During this brief yet potent window from April 29th to 30th, Libra is being invited to pause and take inventory. Not from a place of fear, but from wisdom. The cosmic currents are shifting in such a way that highlight both the cracks in your financial flow and the golden opportunities waiting to be nurtured. This is a moment of alignment, a chance to build not only material wealth but inner security. You may feel drawn to reassess your spending, or to finally open that savings account you've been putting off. You might even be called to cancel subscriptions or habits that once brought you comfort but now feel more like clutter. The truth is, money is not just a currency, it's energy. And how you treat it reflects how you treat your own self-worth. When you become a conscious steward of your resources, you send a signal to the universe that you are ready for more. Ready for better. Ready for flow. The Ace of Pentacles showing up at this time isn't just a lucky card. It's a divine nudge. An invitation to begin again, but from a different foundation. One that's rooted not in impulse, but in intention. Perhaps you're facing a choice between something that feels familiar yet limiting, and something new that requires faith. If so, the message is this: release the false sense of security that keeps you small. True abundance requires trust, not only in the external world, but in your own inner compass. There's also something quiet but steady unfolding in your mindset. As someone ruled by Venus, beauty and value are second nature to you, Libra. But now, you're being asked to redefine what value really means, not by what you earn or possess, but by how you use what you already have. In Scripture, we're reminded that what we do with a little reflects how we handle a lot. Stewardship isn't about restriction, it's about sacred responsibility. This might be the perfect time to start tracking where your money flows. Not obsessively, but mindfully. Where attention goes, energy follows. And where energy flows with care, blessings multiply. Don't be surprised if a financial opportunity presents itself during this time, whether in the form of a new project, a generous offer, or a return on something you've already invested. Yet the deeper blessing lies not in the money itself, but in the confidence and clarity you're building. Because when you're financially grounded, your heart feels safer to dream, your creativity expands, and your relationships evolve in new, empowered directions. Numerologically, the number 8 reminds us of both power and balance. It mirrors the eternal loop of give and receive, effort and reward. It whispers of karma, yes, but also of capability. When you act with integrity and discipline, the door to abundance opens wider than you imagined. Let this be a season where you act like someone who already trusts the blessing is on its way, not with arrogance, but with assurance. So choose wisely. Declutter with kindness. Invest with wisdom. Save not from lack, but from love. You are not being asked to sacrifice joy, you are being asked to make space for it. This is your chance, Libra, to move from managing money to partnering with it. From surviving to truly flourishing. Sometimes the most powerful transformation begins in the quietest of moments. As the energies around you slow down during this time, Libra, you're being gently reminded that wellness isn't just about doing more, it's about allowing more. More space to breathe. More softness in your thoughts. More permission to rest without guilt. While you're naturally attuned to balance and grace, it's easy to forget that relaxation is not laziness, it's an act of self-respect. In fact, it takes a deep kind of discipline to consciously choose peace over pressure. The 6 of Swords showing up now is like a whisper guiding you toward calmer waters. It speaks of transition, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It's not always about going somewhere far, sometimes, the journey is within. You may notice that your nervous system has been on high alert, or that your thoughts have become cluttered with invisible obligations. This is the moment to create a pause, to step away from the storm and into your own inner sanctuary. Imagine living as though each day were a gentle vacation. Not one filled with overscheduling or chasing distractions, but one where you let your body move slowly, your breath deepen, and your presence return to the here and now. Even small, intentional rituals, like sipping warm tea in silence, journaling your unspoken emotions, or practicing a few minutes of morning stillness, can begin to recalibrate your entire being. Your body is always speaking to you. This may be the time to truly listen. Caring for your health and spirit during this period is not about adding complexity, it's about choosing simplicity with intention. Perhaps you've been fueling yourself on quick fixes and pushing past exhaustion. But now, the message is clear: real healing happens when you no longer chase it. It comes when you let your soul settle. A balanced meal with greens and whole ingredients, a few stretches under natural light, or a gentle walk while listening to your own thoughts. These are not just habits. They're acts of devotion to the vessel you live in. There's a gentle reminder in this. Your worth is not measured by how much you accomplish while running on empty. Even in Scripture, we are reminded to rest from our labor, not as a reward, but as a rhythm built into the divine design of life. Honor your cycles. Embrace the ebb, not just the flow. You were not created to live in constant tension. When you choose peace, even when the world demands your performance, you choose to trust in something greater than hustle. You trust in your alignment. Soft hues like mint green and ivory hold healing vibrations for you right now. You might find yourself drawn to clothes, spaces, or foods that echo these colors. Let them be more than aesthetic choices. Let them be reminders that calmness is power, too. That softness can stand strong. The days ahead are calling you to create a different kind of momentum, one that comes from being centered, not from being constantly in motion. Your energy is precious, Libra. It deserves protection, not just productivity. If you can treat rest not as an indulgence but as a necessary part of your inner ecosystem, you'll begin to see shifts in how your body responds, how your mind clears, and how your heart opens. You don't need to run to catch up with life. Life will meet you where you are, especially when you make space for it to enter with peace. So in these gentle days of April, slow down on purpose. Heal by being. And let stillness become your most sacred act of strength. There are moments in life when you sense, without needing proof, that something within you is ending, not out of punishment or loss, but because you've outgrown it. That's what this moment brings for you, Libra. The appearance of the Death card in your reading is not a warning. It's an invitation. It speaks not of destruction, but of release. It's the moment when the tree no longer clings to its last leaves, not because it has failed, but because it trusts the season ahead. You may feel like something is shifting quietly in the background. You can't quite name it yet, but deep down, you know that an old identity, pattern, or cycle is reaching its natural conclusion. Whether it's a relationship dynamic, a limiting belief, or a version of yourself that no longer fits, this is the time to let it go with love. Like the final breath before a new beginning, this shedding is sacred. Judgment and the Fool also enter your reading now, bringing clarity and courage. Judgment reminds you to pause and reflect, to look at where you've come from and what it has taught you. The Fool, on the other hand, urges you to take a leap. These two energies together suggest you are standing on the edge of reinvention. But to step forward, you must first lay something down. This is not the time to look back in regret. It is the time to look inward with gentleness and forward with faith. You don't have to make a grand announcement about what's ending. The most meaningful transformations often happen quietly, below the surface. Just as spring doesn't beg for attention after winter, it simply arrives. And so will your rebirth. You're not erasing your past, you're choosing not to live in it. That distinction changes everything. There's a deep kind of wisdom in letting go. It teaches you that you are not your past choices. You are the one who gets to choose again. There's a reason why we're guided to lay down what burdens us before we can be truly lifted. It's not weakness to release something you've held onto for too long. In fact, it's one of the most courageous acts you'll ever take. If you're unsure of what exactly needs to be released, try this. Take a quiet moment and write down 3 things that feel heavy in your heart: thoughts, relationships, or habits that no longer serve the future you are building. Then, with full presence, perform a simple ritual. Burn the list and bury the ashes in the soil. Let the earth receive what you no longer need. Let it transform beneath the surface, just like you are doing now. Lavender is a color that holds healing frequency during times of change. Surrounding yourself with it, whether in your environment, your clothing, or even a small crystal, can help you move through this process with softness and grace. It's not about pretending change is easy, it's about knowing you don't have to go through it alone or without support. This phase is a reset, but it's also a reawakening. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. And what comes next will be shaped by the space you've made now. So honor the ending. Don't rush through it. Let it shape you. Let it refine your heart. Because when the old chapter closes gently, the new one doesn't just begin, it blooms. There's a quiet truth that often goes unnoticed. Love, the kind that nourishes and elevates, doesn't usually arrive when we're chasing it. It comes when we're rooted, aligned, and steady within ourselves. Libra, as a sign ruled by Venus, you already understand the language of love, beauty, harmony, connection. But now you're being asked to speak it from a deeper place, one where balance isn't just about keeping the peace with others, but about creating peace within yourself. The presence of the Ace of Cups and the Lovers in your reading signals something meaningful. These cards don't speak of fleeting attraction or superficial connection. They point to something sacred, an emotional renewal, a relationship that could meet your soul where it truly lives. But the question isn't whether that love exists. The question is, can it find space in your heart to land? Because love doesn't arrive where walls are still up. It arrives where healing has been welcomed. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is choose softness again after being hurt. It's tempting to guard yourself, to stay in the safe zone of independence or distraction. But the kind of love you long for doesn't grow in guarded places. It grows in presence, vulnerability, and trust. If there are still pieces of resentment or grief lingering, you don't have to fight them. You simply have to acknowledge them. And then ask yourself, am I willing to release this pain so I can make room for something new? There is wisdom in letting go without bitterness. Not everything that ended did so because you failed. Not every heartache was meant to define you. In fact, the lessons you've learned from past relationships have made you more capable of recognizing what is real. And now, you are being invited into a new type of connection, one where love is not earned, chased, or negotiated. It simply flows. Each morning, take a moment to affirm what's true not just in your mind, but in your spirit. Stand in front of a mirror and say, I am worthy of pure, whole, honest love. This isn't just a feel-good phrase, it's a declaration. And the more often you say it, the more your heart begins to believe it. You'll start to choose differently. Speak differently. Love differently. In numerology, the number 6 represents harmony, partnership, and the gentle equilibrium that allows love to flourish. It reminds you that relationships built on truth and shared values don't just happen by accident. They're drawn to you when you embody the same qualities you seek. This is a time to realign with what matters to you in love. What are your non-negotiables? Where are you willing to grow? What does safety feel like, not just for the other person, but for you? Even scripture gently reminds us to love not just in word, but in action and in truth. So as you move through this phase, let your actions reflect the love you want to receive. Offer kindness where it's deserved. Set boundaries where they're needed. Say yes with joy, and no with peace. Let your relationships, whether new or existing, become an expression of your inner balance, not a compensation for what's missing. Love doesn't ask you to lose yourself. It asks you to come home to yourself, and then share from that place. And when you do, the right people can't help but feel drawn in. Because there's nothing more magnetic than someone who knows their worth and is willing to love with their whole heart anyway. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually divine orchestration in disguise. Libra, you've been walking through a season where things may have felt paused, uncertain, or even blocked, but now, the wheel is turning. Not because you've fought harder or hustled more, but because you've aligned yourself with what is true, steady, and ready. The presence of the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun in your reading is no small signal. Together, they speak of momentum and clarity finally catching up to each other, and to you. This moment in your journey isn't a random burst of good luck. It's the reward of deeper shifts within your spirit that the outside world is just now beginning to reflect. For every step you took in silence, for every choice to trust even when you couldn't see the outcome, there's a ripple effect. And now the universe is responding, not to demand more of you, but to deliver something back to you. Think of it not as payback, but as payoff. You might receive unexpected news, a reconnection with someone important, or a surprising opportunity. But more than the event itself, what will matter most is the way it confirms what you've already felt rising inside you, that it's time. Your intuition has likely whispered this already through subtle signs, recurring numbers like 111, 515, or 888. Moments of stillness that suddenly feel electric, or the sensation that something is shifting even before you have the proof. What's beautiful about this phase is that you're not being tested anymore, you're being trusted. There's a difference. Testing happens when we're still learning a lesson. Trust happens when the lesson has been embodied. And right now, Libra, the universe is saying, you're ready. This doesn't mean that everything becomes perfect overnight. But it does mean that the road is clearing. What once felt heavy begins to move. What felt impossible begins to open. In this window of flow, it's important to stay present and grounded, not because you need to brace for something, but because you're being invited to fully receive. Many people pray for change, but few are prepared to hold it. You are. That's why it's arriving. Pay attention to moments that seem small but feel significant. An email. A phone call. An encounter that feels like more than coincidence. The Sun card reminds us that clarity doesn't scream, it shines. So if something brings warmth to your spirit, even briefly, follow that. It may lead you somewhere you didn't expect but deeply needed. Let your days reflect this shift in energy. Surround yourself with colors like bright yellow, gold, or soft peach. They carry frequencies of joy, success, and renewal. These aren't just aesthetic touches. They're tools to help you embody the light that's already breaking through in your life. And as you begin to move forward with more certainty, don't be surprised if others notice your glow. People may sense something different in you, and they're right. One of the quiet truths we often forget is that blessings come to those who are not just ready for them, but who have been faithful with little. When you showed up for yourself without applause, when you honored your values without validation, you were planting the seeds of this very moment. Now they're beginning to bloom. This is not just the turning of a wheel, it's the beginning of a new rhythm. So walk into it with your eyes open, your heart soft, and your hands open wide. What's meant for you isn't behind you, it's arriving now, right on time. Libra, the journey we've just walked together in this reading wasn't just about tarot cards or predictions, it was about returning to yourself. As April draws to a close, you're not being asked to leap, to prove, or to strive harder. You're simply being called to remember the quiet truth that's always lived inside you. You are not just the one seeking balance, you are the balance. You're the space between thought and emotion, between knowing and trusting, between the seen and the unseen. And that space, Libra, is sacred. If the past weeks have felt heavy, uncertain, or even disorienting, know that it's not a sign of failure, it's a signal of shedding. You're releasing the parts of yourself that were never yours to carry in the first place. And in that release, you are creating room for joy, for clarity, for relationships that truly see you, for work that doesn't just pay bills, but fulfills purpose, for a life that doesn't just look good, but feels good. So pause with me for a moment and ask yourself, what have I been holding on to out of fear, and what would it feel like to finally let it go? If you gave yourself full permission to stop dimming your light, who might you become? You don't have to know all the answers right now. Sometimes faith is just a quiet decision to keep walking in the direction of peace. Sometimes courage is saying, I don't know where this leads, but I'm going anyway. And sometimes, the miracle you've been waiting for doesn't arrive with a trumpet blast. It comes softly, in the form of your own willingness to believe again. I encourage you to reflect on everything we've uncovered together today. Revisit what resonated. Try one of the practices we talked about. Light a candle. Write a single sentence in your journal. Speak out loud the truth you've been too afraid to claim. Start small, but start with intention. Because every time you take even the smallest step toward your own alignment, you shift the entire field around you. And Libra, let me ask you this before you go. Which part of today's message felt like it was meant just for you? Drop it in the comments below, and if you're feeling called, leave the angel number that's been following you lately. Trust me, your number is not random. It's a code, a whisper from the universe that says, yes. This is your time. Thank you so much for being here. For sharing your presence, your energy, your openness. Every like, every comment, every new subscriber keeps this sacred space of Zodiac Whisper Tarot alive. It's more than a channel, it's a circle of awakening souls. You are a vital part of that. And remember, you don't have to wait for permission to be who you truly are. You don't need to earn love, or success, or rest. You are already worthy, because you exist. You are already chosen, because you are here. So stay curious. Stay open. And above all, stay true. Because the next chapter of your life isn't waiting, it's unfolding, right now, with every breath you take. Until next time, Libra, keep listening to your heart. It already knows the way.